Have you ever noticed how easy it is to make brilliant plans for the future, but brutally difficult to execute anything today? How can you spend years saying I'll do that someday, while people less talented, less prepared, and less intelligent than you are already doing and building the lives you only dream of having? Here's the truth no one wants to admit. I'll do it someday isn't a plan. It's the most elegant disguise for I'll never do it. It's the most comfortable lie in the world because it gives you all the dopamine rush of imagining future success without any of the discomfort of working for it now. Your brain loves this cheap drug because future promises are free, while present action costs real effort, while you're waiting for the perfect moment to start, waiting to feel more prepared, more motivated, more confident. You're essentially waiting for conditions that will never exist. The ideal moment is a fantasy, perfect preparation is an illusion, and every I'll start tomorrow is silently killing your self-confidence, teaching your brain that you're someone whose word is worthless, not even to yourself. What I'm going to show you today goes against this whole culture of elaborate planning and endless preparation. Get ready to discover why 5 minutes of imperfect action are worth more than 5 hours of perfect planning, why clarity comes after action, not before, and how starting ridiculously small but now is the only thing that separates those who turn intentions into reality from those who die, buried in unfulfilled fantasies. I'll do it someday is the most elegant and socially acceptable disguise, for I'll never do it. It's the lie you tell yourself when you want the relief of giving up, without the pain of admitting it. This magical phrase allows you to abandon any difficult goal while maintaining the fantasy that you raise still committed, just waiting for the right moment that conveniently never comes. It's like saving old clothes in case I ever lose weight. Technically, you haven't thrown them away, but you've practically accepted that they'll never fit again. The perverse brilliance of this lie is that it gives you an anticipatory dopamine rush. Your brain feels the pleasure of imagining the future version of you doing the thing, without having to deal with the actual discomfort of doing it now. Your brain is addicted to future promises because they offer all the emotional benefits of achievement without any of the cost of effort. It's like eating cake in your dreams. You feel the pleasure without the calories. Neurologically, when you say one day I'll learn English, or one day I'll open my own business, the same reward circuits are activated as if you'd already taken the first real step. So your brain marks it as resolved and loses urgency. This is why making lists of goals and elaborate plans often acts as a tranquilizer. You feel productive from the act of planning, but this feeling of progress steals the energy that should push you toward real action. One day is essentially a check you write to your future, knowing you'll never have the funds to cover it. But the relief of writing the check is immediate while the cashing in seems infinitely distant. Every time you choose to say later instead of now, you're making a devastating trade where you buy momentary emotional comfort by selling off your own progress and potential. It's like a predatory loan where the interest is absurd but the cash in hand is immediate and tempting. Procrastination isn't about a lack of time, resources, or opportunities. It's about an addiction to emotional comfort, about preferring the safety of not trying over the risk of trying and potentially failing. When you procrastinate, you protect your ego from the possibility of discovering that you might not be as capable as you like to imagine. It's safer to maintain the fantasy of I could do this if I wanted to than to test that hypothesis and risk discovering that it's harder than you thought, that you have less natural talent than you imagined, or that it will require far more effort than you were willing to invest. Waiting for the right time to start is the most expensive and most accepted excuse for mediocrity. It's like waiting for all the traffic lights to turn green before leaving home, an impossible condition that guarantees you'll never get anywhere. The right time doesn't exist because there will always be some imperfect variable. Too little money, too little time, too little knowledge, too little support, too many responsibilities, too much uncertainty. If you're waiting for ideal circumstances, you've essentially decided not to do anything, but you want an excuse that feels reasonable rather than cowardly. The brutal truth is that people who achieved significant things didn't wait. Until they were ready, they started uncomfortably unprepared and learned by doing, making mistakes, adjusting, and persisting through the initial incompetence that all beginners experience. The ideal time is a fantasy your fear uses to keep you safe and small. No beginning ever feels ideal when you're in clarity, confidence, and competence come after action, not before. Because you only truly understand something after you get your hands dirty and confront reality. It's like learning to swim. You can read 1,000 books on technique, watch 1,000 instructional videos, hire the best teacher to explain theory, but you'll only truly understand swimming when you jump in the water and swallow some chlorine, struggling to stay afloat. The dangerous illusion is believing you can prepare until you're ready. In reality, excessive preparation without execution is just sophisticated procrastination disguised as diligence. You don't gain clarity by thinking more, you gain clarity by doing and discovering in practice what works versus what you only imagine would work. Those who wait to be ready only practice standing still, developing impressive expertise and endless planning, while others less prepared are already 3 steps ahead because they had the courage to start imperfectly. The obsession with perfect preparation isn't an intellectual virtue or strategic prudence, it's fear using perfectionism as protective armor against the vulnerability of trying something new and potentially failing publicly. When you say, "I need to study more before I start," or "I'll wait until I have more resources before I try," what you're really saying is, "I'm afraid of being judged for my initial incompetence, so I'll indefinitely postpone the moment of exposure." Perfectionism is paralyzing because it sets impossible standards that ensure you'll always have a legitimate reason not to start yet. It's a comfortable prison where you're protected from failure because you never take risks, protected from criticism because you never put yourself out there, and protected from disappointment because you never test whether your fantasies about your own capabilities match reality. But this security comes at a devastating price. You spend years, sometimes decades, preparing for a life that never begins because you've conditioned the beginning to a perfection that doesn't exist. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and tomorrow arrives, and you don't, you're doing much more than simply postponing a task. You're systematically destroying your self-confidence, teaching your brain that you're someone whose word is worthless, not even to yourself. It's like repeatedly breaking a promise to a friend. Eventually, that friend stops believing in you, stops counting on you, and stops taking you seriously. You've done exactly that to the most important person in your life, yourself. When you promise yourself to wake up early, train, study, start that project and consistently fail to follow through, you're not just wasting time. You're eroding the foundation of your identity as someone capable of doing what you say you will. After hundreds of these micro betrayals, you reach a point where you no longer even believe in your own intentions. And this disbelief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that guarantees your failure. Before you even begin, the brain learns through patterns. And the pattern you've taught yours is devastating. You're someone who promises eloquently, but doesn't deliver. Someone who has grandiose ideas, but zero follow-through. Someone whose ambition exists only in the comfortable realm of fantasy. Each cycle of "I'll do it" followed by "I won't do it" reinforces this identity of incompetence, until it becomes so ingrained that you don't even notice it anymore. It's simply who you are. The result is that when you finally try to start something for real, you're already fighting against years of accumulated evidence that you're untrustworthy. It's like trying to convince someone you've changed, when your entire track record demonstrates the opposite. The words may be sincere, but the track record speaks louder. You've become your own harshest skeptic, and rightly so. You've proven time and time again through actions or lack thereof that your intentions mean nothing. The worst loss isn't of time or opportunities, it's of internal credibility. The basic belief that when you decide to do something, you'll actually do it. This erosion of self-confidence creates a devastating vicious cycle. The less you trust yourself, the harder it is to start anything new. And the less you start, the more evidence you accumulate that you're incapable, which further erodes your confidence. It's like debt with compound interest working against you. Small delays multiply into complete paralysis. Eventually, you stop challenging yourself because you already know you'll give up. Stop making plans because you anticipate you won't follow through. Stop sharing goals because you're embarrassed to publicly fail again. You resign yourself to a lesser life, not because you lack ability or potential, but because you've completely demolished the bridge of trust between your intention and your action. And here's the cruel irony. while you're paralyzed by this lack of self-confidence. Objectively less talented, less intelligent, and less prepared people are building the lives you dream of because they have something you've lost: the simple but powerful belief that when they say they'll do something, they'll actually do it. Clarity doesn't come from endless contemplation, it's born of movement, from the friction between your ideas and concrete reality, from the feedback that only exists when you stop thinking and start doing. It's like driving on an unfamiliar road. You can study the map for hours, but you'll only truly understand the route when you put the car in motion and start making decisions based on what you see out the window. Act first. Understand later. This inversion seems counterintuitive because we've been conditioned to believe we need complete clarity before acting. But the truth is exactly the opposite. You don't gain insights by sitting around thinking about the problem. You gain insights by stumbling upon it, making mistakes in specific ways that teach you what not to do, and adjusting based on real experience rather than abstract theory. Movement generates information that no amount of static planning can provide, because reality always has variables you haven't considered until you're in it. 5 minutes of real action and comfortable, imperfect, but concrete is worth infinitely more than 5 hours of elaborate planning that never gets off the ground. Planning makes you feel productive while keeping you safe in the fantasy zone where everything works perfectly. Action immediately confronts your limitations, but also moves you from point A to point B in a measurable way. When you write a bad sentence of the book you want to write, you're one step closer than when you've been planning the perfect book in your head for months. When you record a terrible video for the channel you want to create, you've learned more about editing, lighting, and presentation than watching 1,000 tutorials. Discipline isn't some mystical talent some people are born with. It's simply the habit of ignoring the mental drama your brain creates to keep you in comfortable inertia and doing the next obvious thing even when every fiber of your being is inventing reasons to postpone. The most powerful strategy is ridiculously simple yet brutally effective. Start so small that your brain has no valid excuse to resist. But start now, not after more preparation or motivation. Want to write a book? Write a sentence today. Want to start working out? Do 5 push-ups now. Want to learn a language? Learn 3 words in the next 10 minutes. These actions are so minimal that any excuse not to do them sounds pathetic even to yourself. But they're also concrete enough to break the inertia that keeps you stuck. The power isn't in the magnitude of the action. It's in breaking the pattern of endless procrastination and building evidence that you're someone who does what you say, even if it's initially microscopic. Think less, do more. Now, this isn't a sophisticated philosophy. It's the only thing that separates people who turn intentions into reality from those who collect unfulfilled fantasies and die wondering, what if I had tried? One day is the comfortable fantasy of people who lack the courage to face the discomfort of today. It's the drug that keeps you numb while your real life silently slips through your fingers. While you're planning the life you'll have one day, others are actively building theirs right now, with all the imperfections, mistakes, and necessary adjustments you're avoiding for fear of not getting it perfect. The difference between those trapped in unrealized potential and those building something real isn't talent, resources, or circumstances. It's the brutal willingness to start before you're ready. Keep going when it's hard and persist when it would be easier to return to the fantasy of one day. Every year that passes with you saying it's not time yet is a year you'll never get back. An opportunity that evaporates. A version of yourself that dies without ever having existed outside your imagination. People who truly transform their lives don't wait to feel ready, motivated, or confident. They become ready in the process itself. Developing motivation through accumulated small victories, and building confidence through concrete evidence that they can do difficult things. It's like waiting to feel like working out before going to the gym. Fit people don't go because they feel like it. They feel like it because they go consistently, until habit replaces the need for emotional motivation. You don't wake up one day magically transformed into someone disciplined. You become disciplined through the tedious repetition of doing what you promised, even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to, until that identity solidifies through consistent action. Transformation isn't a dramatic event that happens one day when all the stars align. It's the compound result of 1,000 small choices to do instead of procrastinate, to act. Instead of overplan, to start imperfect instead of expecting impossible perfection. In the end, what separates ordinary lives from admirable ones isn't genetics, luck, or privileged circumstances. It's something much simpler and much more brutal. Action without emotional authorization. The ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel about doing it. When you condition action on feeling good, motivated, confident, or ready, you've essentially surrendered control of your life to your emotional states, which are volatile, unpredictable, and often work against your best interests. Even you kill someday. Stop using that phrase. Stop making empty promises to the future. Stop giving yourself the option to postpone, or it buries you alive in a grave of unrealized potential, where you spend your final days looking back wondering, what if I had just started? The choice is simple, but not easy. Live in the productive discomfort of imperfect action today, or die in the sterile comfort of the eternal promise of someday. There is no third option. The clock is ticking, and someday never comes because it's always today. So answer me with complete honesty. Are you prepared to do something today, not plan? Not research further, not wait until you feel ready, but do it, even if it's ridiculously small? Can you accept that 5 minutes of real action now are worth more than 5 hours of planning that never gets off the ground? Do you have the courage to start before you're comfortable, knowing you'll fail? You'll seem incompetent initially, and you'll face the discomfort you've spent years avoiding. And most crucially, are you willing to stop using "it's not the right time yet" as a sophisticated excuse to never try? Because here's the brutal reality that separates those who transform lives from those who die filled with what-ifs. Every day you choose tomorrow over now. You're voting with your actions for the lesser version of yourself, for the safe but empty life, for the potential that was never realized because you condition action on a perfection that doesn't exist. The difference between people you admire and yourself isn't talent or luck. It is their willingness to start uncomfortably unprepared while you race, still waiting to feel ready. Every hour you spend planning the perfect life you'll have one day is an hour you'll never get back. Every rational excuse you make to procrastinate is just fear using perfectionism as a disguise. If this video showed you that one day is where dreams die, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.